These people survived honeymoon disasters. In 2019, this guy was lucky to be alive after falling into the mouth of a volcano on his honeymoon. Akemi and Clay went to St. Kitts in the Caribbean. The newlyweds were excited about exploring one of the island's great attractions, Mount Laimiga volcano. Even though the volcano has been dormant for 1,800 years, it could still be dangerous. After hiking the nearly 3,800 feet to the peak, Akemi, who has a fear of heights, decided to stay put, while her husband explored the interior of the volcano by scaling down a rope.
It was probably just like a couple minutes later that I heard like what sounded like a branch snapping.
It's possible that I slipped, but I find it more likely that a rope broke on me or something, or came untied.
Clay fell over 60 feet.
I started climbing really rapidly down the mountain. I wasn't scared of heights anymore. That was gone.
Clay was unconscious when she reached him. He had a fractured skull and broken jaw.
So I knew that we were going to have to climb out of the volcano. As ridiculous as that sounds. And I just basically was telling him where exactly to put his feet, and I pushed like from his butt to get us back out.
In 2017, Sarah Illig was on her dream honeymoon in the Bahamas. Then this happened.
And it felt like 5 or 6 hands just grabbed the side of my arm and were squeezing really hard. The bite was only a second long, so a half a second later, my mind processed it and I realized that it hurt.
This gash was left in her arm.
We had to, leave it untreated for an hour or so to just kind of get back to where we were going, and that was the most painful part, just because it was an open wound, open flesh wound. I'll definitely always be a little more nervous in any body of water moving forward.
What could that be?
From 2017, that's jet fuel pouring out of a plane headed to Europe. Rachel Brumfield was headed to her Venice, Italy honeymoon from New Jersey. She said the flight attendants ignored her husband when he told them there was an emergency.
That is not normal. She lied to you.
Megan Alexander has more.
Ultimately, the crew realized how serious the situation was and thanked the honeymooners with free champagne. They were even brought into the cockpit and showed the pilot their video.
United issued a statement saying, while taxiing to the runway, United Flight 170 returned to the gate due to a fuel leak and was later canceled. We apologize to our customers for the inconvenience.
What could that be?
In 2020, Milena and Gaetano Cerrillo's honeymoon took a left turn when they had to quarantine aboard their cruise ship in Japan. The reason? 61 passengers and crew on board tested positive for the coronavirus.
They brought us thermometers today, and if you have a fever, you have to call the medic center.
The New Yorkers were on the last day of the 30-day honeymoon cruise around Asia when the Diamond Princess was quarantined. They were forbidden from even leaving their cabin.
Watching TV? Not really anything. They gave us some crossword puzzles and stuff. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And drinking.
Yeah, that's it. Thank God for the booze.
That they're charging us for, though. We gotta pay for it. I had a tuna fish sandwich that was literally inedible.
Yeah.
The pair missed their family and their puppy, Baxter, who was being looked after by the groom's mom, Tracy.
Here's your baby. I'm trying to be positive for them, but I'm freaking out. I just want them not to get sick and to get home.
What is the story you tell down the road years from now? What's the headline?
Well, I think we, the couple that got stranded on honeymoon. So, yeah, I mean, it's a great story, but definitely an expensive one. We never forget to leave that part out, how expensive it was.
In 2020, Olivia and Raul had a lavish, unexpectedly long honeymoon in the Maldives. It was supposed to be a 6-night vacation, but turned into 21 days of anxiety and uncertainty because of the pandemic.
So our first flight was cancelled, and then that's why we stayed the additional 2 weeks until we could get a charter flight home. It did start getting a bit
repetitive.
Yeah, repetitive.
They were the only guests there for 3 weeks. Online, rooms go for $750 a night. Their days were filled with sunbathing, sunsets, snorkeling, and sharks. Raul was even bit by one during an excursion and had to get 8 stitches.
I mean, the water, it's so warm, you can spend hours in the water and snorkeling, seeing all the fish and the baby sharks, and so that was definitely a highlight for me. And then also the warm weather. I mean, now in South Africa it's freezing cold, so it was just so nice to be outside and in the sun and just spend all your time outdoors.
The couple got bored at times.
I think we did, yeah. I'd be lying if I said we didn't. I mean, Roll started playing soccer with the staff, and we started spending a lot of time with them.
I think one thing we also didn't expect, like going on holiday, would be the relationships we made with the staff there. So I think that was, for me, a highlight, just realizing that there are other people there who are going through similar situations as you.
But in the back of their minds, the burden of a financial strain.
You're always thinking, hey, how much is tomorrow going to cost? Obviously, the negativity at some point overshadows the great time.
In 2023, after Newlyweds Lawryn and Joe Fellwock tied the knot, they got ready to board a Delta flight from Detroit to Puerto Rico for their Caribbean honeymoon cruise. That's when Lawryn realized she forgot her passport.
If I was to blame it on anything, I was a girl who was getting married. I had like a full cold sweat moment where I realized I left it in my closet at home. And I turned to Joe and I said, I don't have my passport. What do I do?
There was no time to go back home. They had to board the ship before it departed Puerto Rico, and a passport was mandatory.
I was about to give up, and I said, you know what? Let's just see what our flight attendant can do.
A flight attendant named Dusty sprang into action. First, the groom's sister dug the passport out of Lawryn's closet. Then she handed it off to Dusty, who flew with it from Detroit to Atlanta. There, Dusty passed the passport off to another flight attendant, who carried the passport from Atlanta to San Juan, where he left it at the Delta check-in desk.
I picked it up at the desk and I said, I know this might sound strange, but I think my passport was dropped off here. And their faces just lit up and they were so excited, like, you're the passport girl.
After the ordeal, they had the honeymoon of a lifetime. In 2020, these were the conditions Newlyweds Nicole and Jake Sinclair had to endure as Hurricane Delta pounded their hotel. Guests were asked to sleep on pool chairs in the lobby and other public areas out of concern the windows in their room might shatter.
It was like, oh, guess we get a honeymoon suite with 75 other people.
The pair married in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and flew to Cozumel for their honeymoon just before the hurricane hit.
We hadn't even been here for 24 hours.
Less than that. They said bring all of your stuff, all of your essential stuff in a backpack, and leave all of the rest of your stuff in the bathroom and come downstairs.
Our hotel was amazing. They explained, like, we know that you're not social distance and we apologize, and they were saying that they were trying their best, but this is the circumstances to keep us safe from the hurricane. This was the only safe spot. They took our temperatures before we went into the lobby, hand sanitizer, they gave us masks, and masks were mandatory.
In 2017, these honeymooners were trapped inside their bathroom as Hurricane Irma roared outside.
We just moved into the bathroom. We've got the wind going about 100 miles per hour. You can really hear it outside, shaking the doors.
Scott and Sarah Riggins were married the week before and were honeymooning on San Martin.
We're tired. Ready for this to be over.
From July of 2024, this was not the honeymoon Alex and Emma Steinke dreamed about.
We are currently on our honeymoon in the Caribbean, in Grenada, and there's a category for hurricane barrel.
The pair were just married in Indiana and landed in Grenada just in time for a historic Category 5 hurricane. In preparation for the storm, they were advised to stay in the honeymoon suite.
We are in a very, very sturdy structured building. Our only concern would be the windows in our room, but they are boarded up.
First up, we've got some jalapeno chips. So worst case scenario, power goes out. We got a meal here.
The hurricanes eventually hit with 150-mile-an-hour winds. So was their honeymoon ruined?
I think it enhanced the experience. Yeah. I probably would have laughed if you told me that this is how this would go.
In May of 2024, Shane Burke was on his honeymoon in Grand Teton National Park when he was mauled by a mama grizzly bear.
She was attacking me to kill me because I was perceived as a threat. She jumped up and I turned 180 and she bit me right on the shoulder and tackled me. She definitely let me have it.
Les Trent has more.
Burke did have bear spray but didn't get a chance to use it before the bear was savaging him. Incredibly, as he lay face down on the ground with his fingers interlocked on the back of his neck like this, he still held the bear spray in his hand. And that's what saved him.
As she put my hands in the back of my neck, she simultaneously bit the bear spray can and it exploded in her mouth, Burke wrote on Facebook.
Biting into that bear spray saved your life.
Absolutely, 100%. She took off running.
Burke and his wife had gone their separate ways. She was looking after their dog while Burke had gone looking for a rare great gray owl. He called and told her what happened. Luckily, she's a paramedic and knew what to do.
My mind just went right into what needs to happen first. We need to stop the bleeding. We need to get rescue rolling.
They made tourniquets for his injuries from his backpack straps. A search and rescue chopper zeroed in on Burke's desperate 911 phone call. He had surgery and staples inserted in his wounds. Burke says he survived combat in Iraq, as well as a brain tumor, but nothing equaled the danger he faced while getting attacked by a grizzly.
That bear could have done anything it wanted to me. There's nothing I could have done.
For Inside Edition Digital, I'm Andrea Swindall.